Rogoff?
Rogoff.
Okay, pretty simple. Hey folks, I'm Luke Ford. I'm here with Kirsten Rogoff, who's a licensed marriage and family therapist, and we're going to be talking about sex addiction, maybe some personality disorder, ADHD. So it was really interesting what you were just talking about off camera with me on ADHD, because I only want to do what I want to do, and then I want to lose focus on everything else. Well, and I didn't realize that that might be ADHD.
Well, I'm not diagnosing.
Yeah, I know. I realize you're not diagnosing me.
But the latest studies, I believe it was at UCLA, is that around 23–25% of people exhibiting sexual compulsivity
right.
Are ADHD or at least fall within the framework of ADHD.
Right. And
there's been some other studies too with borderline personality disorder that has approximately the same percentage of people that also seem to have ADHD. And there's some proposals also saying that it's very possible that ADHD and borderline may not be separate entities, but part of a broad spectrum of the same entity.
So what is ADHD?
Attention deficit disorder. I don't like the word deficit disorder because someone with this issue, I have ADHD.
Okay.
I can focus like crazy on something I'm interested in, so I don't have a deficit in my attention.
Yeah.
What it seems to be, and I'm not a psychiatrist, and I'm not going to go into the biology of it, but it seems to be the part of the brain that focuses on your executive functions, the one that oversees your reactions, let's say, is not as predominant as someone without ADHD. So in other words, it's a primitive brain. Someone who is better suited for hunting. It's a brain that's designed to focus on the deer until it's time to get them. Or you hear a rustle of leaves and you're distracted immediately, so you can pay attention to danger coming your way. So the reactivity is and distractibility is designed to keep you alive. It's a survival mechanism. Now, people that have borderline, for example, often come from a traumatic childhood where they are hypervigilant and easily distracted also to cues that signal that their survival might be at stake.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of similarities with it, and it's a question of what's causing what. And if ADHD can contribute to, say, borderline or a sex addiction, or the other way around, or they're separate, it's hard to know what's going on sometimes. So to be on the safe side, when I work with sex addicts, I persuade them to be screened for ADHD just to be on the safe side, since it's such a high percentage.
How does one screen for ADHD?
I don't do the screening. I send them to a psychiatrist that specializes in ADHD and have them go through the battery of testing that he requires. I work with several psychiatrists, and it's usually a matter of convenience who's closer to my clients.
What can you do as a therapist for someone with ADHD?
Well, it's always good to know what a person's limitations are, or to I like to see it not as a limitation but an asset if you know how to use it well.
Right.
So once we know that that's that, it puts it helps the person not pathologize what they're doing so much, except accepting it as a part of themselves and working with what they've got. They're dealt a hand of cards. Now we have to know how to play them better, and it's a way of humanizing also, not so much labeling it as much as it sounds, but humanizing a person's behavior and not take it so personally. And also saying, okay, you've got this problem, you can't ignore it, and you're going to have to do some things to work with it.
Yeah.
Those are the choices, instead of magically waiting for them to disappear.
So when you were a child, get a little bit more of your biography. When you were a child, what did you want to be when you grew up? Was it a therapist?
No, I wanted to be a paleontologist. I can't even pronounce the word now. I was much smarter then than I am now. Lost a few cells along the way. But I was very much into dinosaurs and paleontology, and I was a geek. Science, that was it.
And how did you become a rock and roller?
I was no longer a geek. I was a rebel without a clue, and I was very much into music. I've always played the piano, and I'm an artist, and I've always done art my whole life. And I suppose I enjoyed the idea of being on stage.
Mm-hmm.
There's a part of me that really likes attention.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when I was that age, and I enjoyed the energy of the punk rock lifestyle. I was from Detroit, and they had a very strong punk rock movement going on, and it was full of life and vivaciousness, and I wanted to be in the middle of that.
And how long were you in that?
I don't think I really ever got out of it, and I think in 2002 it was, I was on a Warp Tour. I had a reunion of the people I was in a band with 20 years ago, or 25 years ago, and I realized I was too old to die. I mean,
To dive?
Too old to tour, but too young to die.
Uh-huh.
It was a lot of work, and it really felt weird being at my age doing all this stuff for no money.
Mm-hmm.
There's no money in it,
Mm-hmm.
unless you've made it, so to speak. And there's a lot more work in there than I was willing to continue with. And getting people together and organizing them to play in a band, I mean, it can get old. So I prefer doing electronic music by myself and playing all the instruments myself, and coming up with my own things, and not have anyone hear it except me. So
How did your years in the punk movement serve you, and perhaps not serve you as you got older and left it?
from what I remember, you
Yeah.
mean? Well, it served me to, well, first of all, I hate to say this, but I was a very shy kid, believe it or not. I was extremely shy. And I found out through drinking that you can say a lot of things and do a lot of stupid things, and people will still like you. So I learned not to worry so much about what I say or don't say, in terms of how people perceive me and
Yeah.
getting along with the world. If they like you, they like you. If they don't, they don't. And I learned that helped get over my shyness. It served me also because I have a subset of clients, I would say, that are artists, and some in the punk field. And it does help to understand what inspires them, and understand where the energy is coming from, too, and to help them figure out how to fit in the world with these skills, these talents, in a way where they can still somewhat be mature adults and happy.
Yeah.
So
How did you decide to become a therapist?
I flipped a coin. I was working at Mattel Toys, and I was a technical writer making flowcharts for electronics. Hating every moment of it. It just wasn't me. I got the job because I had moved out here and needed a job quickly, and was doing that. And I wanted a job where I didn't have to go to school very long.
Mm-hmm.
I had already had 2 masters in painting, and I had some money that I could use for school. So it was going to be law school or psychology school. Psychology won.
Are you glad?
Oh yeah, because a lot of the people I treat are lawyers, and it's more, you see a lot of lawyers going into the marriage and family business,
Right.
not the other way around.
Yeah.
So I think I was fortunate with that coin.
What do you love and what do you hate about your work?
I can't say I hate anything about my work. It is a love affair because it's never changing. So for someone who needs variety and stimulation, I have it. People, to me, are so unique and different that I get that sense of stimulation and variety from the different stories and cases. Also, people are unique in how they respond to treatment. So I don't use